This is Laura Tucker Kosh, co-owner of Agent Operations, where we help real estate professionals just like you. We believe that when you focus on your strengths and outsource everything else, there's nothing you can't do. We've got a great show today, so let's get started. So today we're going to talk about how to get more recommendations on LinkedIn, and I'm including some steps, a script that'll be in the comments of this video, and also lots of little random tips that should help you as you really work to improve your LinkedIn profile. Because if you haven't heard, if you're a real estate professional and you're not on LinkedIn, you've just got to be. So now what we're doing kind of in a module of classes that I've been working on is showing real estate professionals how you can really improve your LinkedIn profile. And LinkedIn is particularly powerful right now because the demand for content is exceeding the supply. And what that means in layman's terms is that your content gets seen. Whereas Facebook has this algorithm on its business pages that will only show posts to certain people who engage with you or like your posts. It's very different on LinkedIn. Additionally, my argument is that LinkedIn is really filled with real estate leads to people who are moving in corporate jobs, upward mobility, geographic mobility, a lot of people who also have the funds to purchase a vacation home or a second home. So there's a lot of really great things going for realtors on LinkedIn. And so I really want to take some time and dig into some of these ways to improve your profile because they're not that difficult, but there's not a whole lot of guidance on how to do them and what they even look like. So what we really want to do is we want to take simple steps to turn your potential leads from LinkedIn from skimmers of your profile, where people will skim your profile, to readers, where they're actually going to go, oh, wow, this person was recommended by somebody I know, and this is a great recommendation, and so that's credible to me. In the marketing industry, we call that social proof. Observing another's experience of a particular product or service, it really does influence buying decisions these days. So it's important to have recommendations. One thing to note specifically for real estate professionals, of course, is that this does not take the place of Google recommendations, Facebook recommendations, even Zillow recommendations if you're using them. You should still use those. A lot of people that you're connected to are going to have a certain level of comfort in those making those recommendations on those platforms just because they're very, very familiar, and they're also a little bit more visible. However, as LinkedIn grows and proliferates, which I really think they are on the cusp of a big growth spurt, LinkedIn recommendations are going to become important. So one thing to keep in mind is that LinkedIn recommendations can be made by people who are in your network. So you would need to be connected to a particular client if you want them to write a recommendation for you. So just keep that in mind. And it also gives you a great excuse to grow your LinkedIn network. So without further ado, let's take a look and really dive in at some of these tips. So what we want to do with LinkedIn recommendations is, I would say, do this on a recurring basis, whether you schedule it once a quarter, once a month. Do these steps that we're going to go through. Do them repeatedly, not just a one-off. So we're going to look at the first real step. You'll need about 15 minutes to do all these things, so it's not a huge time commitment. But the basically, to kick it off, to start off this recommendations portion, sit down and write a list of 10, we'll say 10 clients. I say 10 to 15 in the class, but 10 clients that come to mind that you've really made an influence on their purchase or selling or investment experience. And jot those names down. Now, with that list, what I want you to do is either email them or message them on LinkedIn. I have had more success with email because people tend to pay attention to that a little bit more than the LinkedIn messaging. So, what I would say to do is email them first. If you don't hear back in a couple days, then follow up by messaging them on LinkedIn. And what you're going to do is basically copy and paste this template that will be in the free report that you'll be able to access at the end of this video. So it's going to say, hello, so and so. I'm working to improve my LinkedIn profile. One of my goals is to get recommendations from clients. This, as an aside note, it can also be colleagues. So other real estate professionals can recommend you too. So one of my goals is to get recommendations from clients who know my work well. Would you be able to write a LinkedIn recommendation in the next couple of days to help me improve my profile? I'd be happy to do the same for you if you'd like. Just let me know. I appreciate your time very much. So, what's that? 3 or 4 sentences. That's it. And that's really the secret of it, right? It's actually doing it. It's actually in the follow up and follow through. Now, a couple of more tips that I know that probably some of you are thinking or asking about. What's a reasonable response rate? And how can I get more people to respond? Well, I would say a decent response rate is 50%, 50 to 75%, 50% and above generally. And like I said, if there's no response to your email, always feel free to message them directly on LinkedIn. You can also go to their LinkedIn profile. And let me actually do this live here, guys, so you can see, because it's a little bit difficult to see where this is. So I'm going to go on to Alan Hoffman, one of my connections here. And so you're on that person's profile. You're going to click this More link and then click on Recommend. And you also notice that you can request a recommendation as well. You can give kudos. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff. So if you click on recommend, this is what will appear next. You'll walk through a couple questions, and there you go. Here's another way to improve your response rate is to actually go and do this on their profile. So say I was hoping that Alan would recommend me. Maybe I'll just be proactive and go and recommend him. And that has really worked well for me in the past in requesting recommendations. That kind of, it's a giving economy. And so that really, really helps as well. Another place to find those recommendations is down near the bottom. It's right below the skills and endorsements. So here's skills and endorsements, and then recommendations. You can ask for a recommendation or recommend. So basically the same as that drop down. And then another thing that we get asked a lot, okay, so what if my client doesn't know what to say in a recommendation? And that is kind of one of those challenging things. So what I tell our clients is that you can go one of two ways. Think of a home that it has not been staged and a home later that has been staged. And I do this as a before and after comparison. And your recommendation request could be very similar to that. So how would you describe your experience before you met me? And how did it change the outcome of what that problem was? What was the before and the after that I brought into the mix that through your experience with my services? Or you can take it a step further and just think about telling a story. Ask them just frankly to tell a story and identify the problem they had prior to working with you and how you served as their guide and helped them solve that problem. So that gives them something to kind of work with and to start with, because sometimes it can be overwhelming if you're just like, oh, hey, great, write me a recommendation. It's like, well, where do I start? So that gives them some ideas on where to go and how to start from. So that's it for this quick LinkedIn tip. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. We also invite you to join our community for high value marketing and operations tips, agentoperations.net. Subscribe. So LinkedIn classes, more are coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. Hey, we love your comments too. If we've helped you, be sure to screenshot and tag us on social media at Agent Operations. You can also join our community by subscribing to updates at agentoperations.net/subscribe, or just click that little red subscribe button on YouTube. This is Laura Tucker Kosh, co-owner of Agent Operations, where we help real estate professionals just like you focus on your strengths and outsource everything else. Faith, passion, purpose. Until next time, friends.